Welcome. Hello. You made it back. We're really proud of you. In this little segment, Sandra is going to walk you through her simple 5-step system. I say it's her system because it is. She came up with it. It came through her. It is a story I'll let her tell you. But what you should know as we go through this map is that all of these elements that you're going to be seeing appear and are discussed and explored in other lineages, but this simple 5-step circle of an approach, 5 different relationships in your body, this is brand new pedagogy into the world. So I'm really excited to give you this platform and this journey. And Sandra, tell us where we're going.
I will. Heather, thank you. And thank you everyone for coming and looking in on this system. Please join our wonderful class where we go through 9 classes to cover these 5 relations. So I'll tell a little story. How did I get into this work? I've studied mind-body work for performers since I was 19 years old at Cornell University in the winter in Ithaca, New York, a long time ago, 1977. But sometime in the late 80s, I was watching a woman who actually was trained by a man named F.M. Alexander, who was also a specialist at working in mind-body work for performers. And it's been part of performers' training at all conservatories and drama schools for really almost 100 years. This woman trained with Mr. Alexander as a teacher from 1931 to 1934. It's like taking a law degree to get trained in this work. And I watched Marjorie, she was 87 years old, with her hands on a woman who was singing. And as Marge helped this woman free her neck a little bit to find her head balance and free her shoulders a little bit to take that extra tension out of the accessory breathing muscles and to find better balance over her feet, the room filled with sound. It was like watching the human soul freed from the body. And at that moment, I decided I had to become a teacher. I've been teaching the work since 1990. Fortunate enough on my training to plug into an international group of guitarists that took me over 3 continents, working with hundreds and hundreds of people. And that's where this system really literally fell in my lap one morning, preparing to go teach for a whole weekend in Seattle to a group of performers. What will I teach them? I was doing my morning sitting practice, running all these things that we're going to learn together. And here it came, 5 simple relations to build the experience of a sprung structure, an open structure, of freely coordinating self, unhindered or less hindered by habits that interfere.
So beautiful, Sandra. And before you give us the map, I'd just like to point out the leading edgeness, if you will, of the fact that your system is a circle. So you are teaching us how to relate to the body in a circular way to prioritize and engage the self so that we can then connect to the world around us,
yes,
more fully.
And to each other in choirs and circle singing.
Yes.
And one of
opera.
in opera, any cast, musicals, one of the limitations of the Alexander technique in my experience is it's been traditionally taught one-on-one. So for one thing, you can only work with so many people one-on-one. But there is something that happened in our class, which is when we connect to each other, some of these changes we want just happen. They happen because we're looking around and we're not worried about, we're not in what I call my personal little phone booth of terror. We're noticing other people, we're engaging with other people, we're being natural in the body. Yet, there is also a map that we can work on and do things to help foster that connection in our own physicality that will then plug us in to each other as singers. So here we go. I'm going to show you the magic. The map. The map is the map of the 5 relations. The map that this map is to replace is this concept that somehow we have to position and hold ourselves and have good posture and do all this stuff like we're a stack of building blocks. There's even a picture over on the left that sort of shows the body as a stack of building blocks, when in fact we are magic. So this is this Nelson Tower at the Hirshhorn in Washington, D.C. This structure that I'm looking up through, we're all looking up through this structure. You'll notice the rods that are rigid, but then the tensile parts that are free, and everything's connected and everything's sprung one thing from the other. That's the kind of structures we inhabit. We're moving, living, breathing, singing human beings. And the circle that Heather's talking about is arranged around the tensegrity model. Begins at the top with the relation I call the fifth relation, because it's the relation that gathers up all the others and sends them into motion. It's also the zero relation, which is we have to have some presence, and our eyes have to be sort of soft in the room for us to even begin. So this relation is the relationship of the head to the whole body. A really, really simple way to talk about that and to look at the energy of it is to think of the head like a ball in a fountain, always moving. If the head goes too far one way or too far the other way, it'll fall off the little column of water. The energy of the spine, the springiness of the spine, you could think of the water being the song, and how your head balances on top and resonates and enunciates. Now we're going to look back at the map and go around to 3 o'clock, where we've got this funny upside down emoji. By the way, the emojis landed before emojis were a thing, which is really almost spooky, but they did. I made all these pictures and then suddenly we were all using emojis. So over on the right, we have the first relation, a very basic one, which is the relationship of the whole of the torso, top of the head to the sitting bones, which are showing up now on your left, sticking out backwards, to the whole leg, foot, lower leg, knee, and thigh. This relationship is so important to singing, and this is why. Here's the diaphragm. The ribs have been cut away. You're looking at the lower part of the rib cage. All of that is the diaphragm. Look at the cascade of muscles that come down the front of the spine from the diaphragm, through the pelvis, into the legs. Even now, anatomically we know this, that cascade of connection goes all the way through the calves and into the bottoms of the feet. That is your singing support. Legs, relation to the torso, is so important for singing. Then we do little games. This is a personal exercise that we'll teach during the 9 weeks of work, the 9 sessions, where you lie down and you balance your legs in a tensegrity pattern, and you play around, and it builds that capacity. Now we go around to 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, down at the bottom right, and we're going, it's like the Russian dolls where you go within, within, within. This next relationship, the one on the lower right, is the relationship of the head to the pelvis. It's the relation, the relatedness within the torso itself, and the behavior of this conversation that the head and the pelvis have is playful, like a teeter-totter. One part goes up, the other part goes down. You'll notice now if you move back and forth on your sit bones, the head comes along. This relationship can be practiced so simply. During your practice, you can interrupt yourself if you're having trouble with certain parts of your singing warm-up or certain things you're working on in a piece. You lie down, you simply let the torso fall into the floor with the legs. You'll notice the legs are organized already because that's the first step. This is the second relation, head, pelvis. You spend a few minutes there and you come back up and you're a brand new person. You've reinstated, you've recharged your tensegrity freedom back to the center of our circle, the concept. Now we move across the bottom of the map and we come to what I call the breathing lady. She's my favorite one. And what's interesting is she's exactly the same as the head pelvis one with the teeter-totter. This is simply the breathing container now in action, letting the breath move in and out freely, letting the turnover of the breath happen with the focus not on taking breath, but on gently releasing it, as in song. So here, this little circle is the schematic for the air in the lungs and the movement of the diaphragm. One of the lines of work that has come in and fed this system happened in 2010. I trained for a year with a woman named Jessica Wolf, who herself had trained with a man named Carl Stow in something called the art of breathing. And it is a system for redeveloping the diaphragm, for allowing the diaphragm to move the air in the body without overusing the accessory muscles and without putting strain into the vocal mechanism. It is a lifesaver for singers in terms of preventing injury. It is also, I get tear up when I talk about this, it is also where we tap into our authentic singing voice, because your heart rides on your diaphragm. As we learn to follow the excursion of the diaphragm, exhale to inhale, we're freeing the heart, and we're freeing our air to carry our song. Back to the schematic. We've left one out. The last shall be first, but the first shall be last. In our daily activities, you will notice, if you pay attention, we are always reaching. Car door, steering wheel, picking things up, computers. There's nothing we do that isn't the arms pulling the body out of shape. So here what we've said is, no. We need the head balance, we need the torso leg counterbalance, we need the torso organized, we need the breath freed to support those arms. And in Alexander technique speak, its arms are out and away. In 5 relations speak, it's there. Look at this person with the shovel. The shovel's not pulling on that breathing container. The whole torso's in perfect poise. Head to pelvis, easy legs, and the arms free to gather strength from the organized whole. I get so excited. So there it all is. And we invite you along for the journey.
And we end our climax or our crescendo to the finish is to take our course into gentle walking. So Sandra starts with head and eyes, and over 9 hours, each class is about an hour long. These are slow classes. We have set an intention for release, efficiency, flow, fun, joy, freedom, ease.
Yes.
And with those intentions, we trusted the wisdom of the unfolding. So what you will experience over these 9 hour-long pre-recorded classes is an unfolding that guides us into the 5-step system, not exactly perfectly aligned with each class, but each class building off of what emerged in the previous class. Now, I'm somebody that says this is happening, let's do it. It's happening, it's real. Kind of like a breath arrives and there it is, and it's real. Tell me if this would be accurate to say, Sandra, in this class, we are really cultivating a new level of allowing within the body.
Yes, in equal proportion to awareness of how we tend to push and interfere. Mm-hmm. So we learn to let the body sort itself out. We learn to let the breath breathe itself, if you will, and rise to the song rather than pushing ourselves to meet something outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't really overstate the importance of what Sandra is teaching us. So a couple of logistical things for you, our friend at home. One is we want you to feel like you are part of this. So as questions arise, since these are pre-recorded, please take a note and email us if you have a question or a concern. You may have special body needs. You may not have mobility in the way that Sandra is inviting you to explore. So please Trust your body's wisdom. Do not do anything that lets you lose your balance. And that's really important information for you to be gathering as well. So even if you're modifying, there's learning. Yes. Would you have something to add to that?
I was just going to say, and actually email us because we can learn from you. I
Yes.
recently had a colleague of mine actually who's in a wheelchair, and we did a lot of work on this one. I had no idea that it resonated for him, and then he taught us so much about how that, what access he had to that, and then what access he didn't. So we're learning too. A system like this that arrives of its own accord continues to unfold, and you are part of the unfolding. So we just had all of this amazing wonderfulness happen in the group, and we invite you into that, to join us, to learn, to grow, and to set our souls free together.
You are in the right place. Take these next steps with us. Be in communication with us as you need support. And we cannot wait to hear you sing.
Thank you.